Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our live show today and live cast. And today, our guest is Christine Gallaire. I'm totally privileged to host you, Christine. And actually, Christine is a certified coach with a past career in multinational companies. She is a master certified coach from ICF. Good morning, Christine, and thank you for being with us and accepting our
Okay,
invitation.
okay. I
And
feel I
yeah,
feel really honored, and privileged myself. So thanks for having me here.
yeah.
Thank you, Sharaf.
You're welcome. And actually, it's an amazing morning today. I believe it's mostly sunny and nice everywhere around Europe and in the Middle East also.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, here we want to talk about the in the next half an hour for the emotional intelligence, and it's our first episode in six series episode. It's a monthly episode that we'll have about around emotional
Hmm.
intelligence. And actually, we want to talk about it, and we need to know how it links to performance and its relationship with coaching, and how can leaders benefit from using it.
Yeah.
So let's start from its origins. What is it, and what does it? What is
Right.
it all about? Okay.
So emotional intelligence in reality came up through an article of Salloway and Meyer. I think it was in the late 90s. And they defined it as the ability really to perceive your emotions and the one of others, and to use those to feed your thinking, okay, and make better decisions. So, it's really, Sharaf, about listening to your emotions and to the messages that are sending to you. Okay. And then use those to act more intentionally, and this helps you really to be more successful. Some people talk about three intelligences, by the way, the head, the heart, and the gut. And this is really about bringing all of them all together, you know, to live simply a better life and make more impactful decisions.
Oh,
You know, yeah,
that's amazing. So actually, here it's about the head, the heart, and the gut,
yeah.
and actually how we understand them and work with them intentionally. It helps us bring more impactful decisions. Can we relate more, because actually, in a way, maybe as an engineer, we rely a
Hmm.
lot on on
Head.
our heads,
Mm?
and most of the managers I work with in the technology industry, they actually somehow they lose track of what happens here in the heart and what happens in the gut, and
Yeah.
and actually integrating them, the three, is
Hmm.
really an art that needs a lot of work on. So can you talk more about that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, it's about, well, emotions are there just to send us messages in reality, to attract our attentions on specific points. So sometimes we tend to be focused on data, goals, achievements. Okay. And we tend to shut up, you know, those emotions, like these small little voices that sometimes we hear, okay, that bring us some messages. Here they are. Okay.
Mhm.
You know what happens when we don't listen to them? Usually they come back and they come back and they knock to our door, okay, even stronger. And sometimes it becomes a disaster. Okay. So when we learn simply to treat them as data, I would say, you're an engineer, so you know what data is. Okay. If you would consider emotions as data, you might
Mhm.
then consider them at the same level as another kind of data, and you would integrate them in your thinking to enrich your decisions and your decision making. When you do that, you engage more people. When you do that, you connect as well with other parts of the business. People influence very much the outcome. Let's remember about that. Engagement of people makes a difference between success and failure. So it's about this.
Yeah.
And you, yeah, you
Yeah.
summarized that very well. Mm.
Yeah. So actually, يعني I see, and actually this was something in a near visit to one of the clients I'm working with. While I was walking throughout the facilities they're having, I
Mm-hmm.
was hearing people shouting everywhere. You know, this kind of somebody
Okay.
calling the supplier, this
Mm.
kind of,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and somebody is talking to maybe a subordinate or something. Ah, what are you doing? You know, this kind of, there is a
Mm-hmm.
shouting culture everywhere.
Okay.
Everybody is shouting at everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
when I was actually surveying this and actually asking questions, I'm still in the survey phase, and actually I was asking what's happening, and there, and I found out that this was, you know, the culture. The leader himself
Mm-hmm.
is always, when somebody comes in with something that's not in his expectations, or
Yeah,
doesn't meet
yeah.
the business objective, somebody screws up something, or, you know, he actually just blurts out, throws out a tantrum, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it became a culture that comes up down and it's everywhere, you know. So in a way, I believe that this is something, you know, yani it starts somewhere, much sooner than going to this tantrum, to understand how to work with these emotions and integrate them in early messages, instead of going to this kind of tantrums and
A blow
blowouts.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're right that leaders influence very much the overall organizational culture. Okay, so if the leader is shouting to get some results, okay, people below him will do exactly. They will replicate the thing. You know, thinking, okay, first it's permitted, second it seems that it works. Okay, what
Yeah.
happens if someone is shouting on you? Okay,
Mm.
you're gonna freeze yourself. You'll have, your amygdala that will get into at play. So you'll have three choices. Either you're gonna freeze yourself and get completely scared. Okay. A second
Mhm.
one is you're gonna be aggressive. Okay. You're gonna run away.
Okay.
Does it help performance? Not sure. Does it help results? I'm not sure. It helps just in case of situations where there's a big danger. So you're right. I mean, when you're talking about shouting, it has to do with self-management.
Okay.
Self-management, okay, is part. It's one full category of set of skills of emotional intelligence. It has to
Wow.
do with how you navigate your emotions. Okay. And so how you relate, for instance, to anger, to impatience, to stress, okay, to anxiety
Mm.
for yourself.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's funny though, because actually I just realized that I get anxious. It was back in 2017. So after I became
Uh,
something like 39 years old,
yeah,
I
yeah,
recognized my anxiety, you know.
yeah.
Just so it's really, you know, it's a long journey, and, you know, in a way, something that you will actually, whenever you explore more, you will find things,
Hmm.
and you get to relate to some situations. Oh, why did I do that? And then it is something that I believe
Mm,
that becomes more, that's brought more into awareness. So that's very clear, Christine. Thank you for that. And
you're
in
very much welcome.
some sense, I believe we need also to be leveraging on our emotional resources, and
Hmm.
drop off some, some logic, and this is really really nice. So what do you think about coaching? How to, you know, bring people into this? So I believe that coaching is a very efficient tool in that. And
Yeah.
how do you find this? How do you find coaching in relationship to emotional intelligence?
Let's think about the topics that usually our clients bring to us, while we are coaching. We're both coaches at the end. And, for me, very often I coach around greater relational effectiveness, around influencing, engaging others in challenging goals, in things like this. All those kind of coaching goals are emotional intelligence related.
Wow.
All of those, all the time. Think about the relationship between influencing and empathy.
Mhm.
How do you influence someone if you do not put yourself in their shoes? Difficult, right?
Yes, very true.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Think about inspiring people. How, do you inspire by shouting, or do you inspire
Yeah.
by touching somehow some motivational levers that people have inside, their intrinsic motivations? So it means that you sense that, you take the time, you listen, okay? You don't put yourself in judgment,
Mm.
and then you engage in about people.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Mm.
in coaching, the way I do that is that we define first behavioral objectives, okay, that the leader wants to achieve. So very concretely, it means I want to connect more with people. I want to, for instance, that could be something like I want to um, engage more with people. And if you say something like this, okay, then I work with you on how to do that, but not leveraging only on emotional intelligence, actually. You said, let's take you as an example. You said, well, I'm an engineer. So
Mm.
for me, it says somewhere, okay, he likes data, is logical. Okay, so what I will do is that I will leverage on this. And there's one competency that helps a lot in emotional intelligence. It's called sequential thinking.
Okay.
So it's probably a competence that you have rated quite high. So what I will do is that I will work with you using this as a strength that you have to help you to come to if you need that.
Wow.
Okay, or to better self-management if you need that. It depends on what you need, actually.
Hmm. So that's really, how you link it is really amazing, and how we connect this awareness towards, towards action. What
Mm-hmm,
I experienced before, and despite I'm not really focused, or not, my specialization is not emotional intelligence, but sometimes I kick in with this, these kind of experiences, and and journeys happen with me, with some leaders, where they get more aware about how to connect with their audience, and I bring it
mm-hmm,
more of, creating a connection with the system or the group, and really
mm-hmm,
being more empathetic. So so maybe I don't use the same tools that you use, or approach
yeah,
it from the
yeah,
same perspective of
yeah, yeah.
science, but it's really, when you create this this awareness, it's like going to the gym. It's painful. What pains here is not the body muscles, like
Mm-hmm.
when you go to the gym and work out, and stretch things. What gets
Yeah.
stretched for the first time is your emotions. Awareness,
Eh,
so
mm.
how do you deal with this pain, because it's really painful.
How do you deal with this pain? Well,
Yeah.
I would say the first thing usually what I do, okay,
Mm.
is I welcome it. Okay. It's like, let's imagine I would have a little cat, okay, and that would feature my emotions. Okay. In that case, I would keep it very close to me. Okay. And I would try to establish an internal dialogue with that pain. What does it mean? What is so painful? Okay. What is behind? Okay. Where does it come from? Uh, in which way? What do I need to do to use that pain in order to improve something or change something to in my life? Okay, and that while I'm doing that, also what I've noticed is that it's far more efficient than simply saying, okay, there is the pain, you just shut up. Okay, because I don't need you in my life. I want to be a positive person, which I am. Okay, but I put you aside. I don't want you. I don't want you in my life. I've experienced very often that when I did that in the past, okay, the emotion came back. But when it came back, that has been a kind of a hurricane. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like this, as you're
Uh,
saying, yeah, as you're doing. So you don't want that. I don't want to be completely overwhelmed by that kind of thing. And I've noticed that by staying closely and trying to establish a dialogue, trying to understand exactly what I feel has helped me a lot to reduce the time of the pain.
Hmm.
There's a model which is fantastic in order to name our emotions, because one of the very first thing that we need to do is enhance our emotional intelligence literacy. I mean, our vocabulary. Very often people are able to mention 5, 6 emotions, not more.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's a model which is called Plutnik, actually, and it helps a lot, finding the various nuances of emotions. If you name an emotion, it becomes reality.
Hmm.
And here you see what you're projecting here is a set of competencies and how they influence our success. Some emotional intelligence tests do have a predictive value of success up to 55%, which is high, really very high. And when you look at that, so very often, when we are very much rational, we tend to believe that business is all about good KPIs and good processes. We forget about 2 things. First, KPIs and processes anyway are ruled by people. Okay. Second, optimism, okay, has a very strong impact on performance and efficiency. Exercise optimism, is emotional intelligence competency, Sharaf. So this, it's going to be very difficult to have success if you believe that you're going to fail immediately. Let's take it this way. Okay, it's about what we call optimism here is something a bit different. Also, it's about knowing that there are different kind of alternatives that you can use, and that there are a world of possibilities that can help you. So for instance, when you think about how do you engage, how do you inspire people, what do you do to get people on board, that's for sure what you need for that. You need empathy first. Okay, connect with people, managing your emotions, and knowing how to manage your emotions, because if you start to shout at people, that's going to be a bit difficult to engage. Okay, but you will need as well to exercise optimism, you know so there are different things that impact, I would say, relationship management, for instance, collaboration. There's a link between performance, success, and collaboration.
A link between performance, success,
Success and
and
collaborating,
collaboration. Okay.
you know. Okay.
Mm,
And empathy helps a lot on this. Okay.
mm,
If you want to collaborate with people, you need to understand their goals. You need to understand their needs. Okay. You need to understand their constraints. Okay. And so it means that you do not go with a very autocratic attitude, but you ask questions. Like what we do as
yeah.
coaches. Okay, you
Yeah.
open up with open questions. You're really, I would say, almost genuinely curious about others.
Wow.
And that creates a connection where people open up and
So,
maybe accept to negotiate differently.
so basically, you're saying here that we teach people to become, or managers or leaders to integrate coaching competences into their lives.
Yes, exactly. And it goes even beyond that. It's when they learn how to use their emotional intelligence more. Okay. First, well, all their competencies of emotional intelligence rise, but another thing which is fantastic for them is that it has a big impact on their personal lives. It has a
Wow.
big impact on their relationship outside work.
Yes.
And so they are more serene, which is in our times quite important, I would say. They feel like more satisfied, fulfilled also in their lives. In reality, it's not so much about teaching them. It's about helping them just to identify, their emotions, understand how to decodify them, and to use the messages. And it becomes then something quite automatic.
Wow. So actually, I believe that this is a dream thing to reach, when it comes to working with everyone, around the planet. So that
Hmm.
more people will become more empathetic and actually more
Yeah.
optimistic, and actually become, and actually we'll have this kind of, a peaceful kind of,
Hmm.
coexistence, and
Yeah.
what they call it, wise management, when it comes to we can
Yeah.
reach wisdom, this kind. But however, and I believe
Hmm.
what is happening around the globe, because different forces are happening, different levels of
Hmm.
awareness, different
Yeah.
uses of these, and interpretations of these, meanings, I believe that the that's life. That's what
Yeah.
brings life with its full flavors. So you were talking about optimism and empathy, in a very, so and how they actually leverage, the
Hmm.
coaching clients to reach higher performance. So I believe optimism may have, this kind of, I understand as having a positive outlook to life, and actually putting positive results forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you tell me, how it becomes not a bias, that's, people are just always cheerful, always uplifted, this, what is the balance, where you find people really aware and acknowledging all the spectrum of emotions. Yeah.
Okay. It's not about being unrealistic, actually. It's not about being genuine to the extreme. It's simply
Mhm.
about telling to yourself, well, it's about resizing events. Well, let's take an example. And Martin Seligman, has been came with learned optimism, which is, and he explains very well that, well, we there are three P's actually. Okay, so what we do usually, we tend to look at um, events. Okay, like having a big kind of, it's like they are invading everything. Okay, so the first thing to do is to say, okay, let's try to isolate the event. So if I isolate the event, what I do, I simply recognize that there are many parts of my life that are not touched by the issue. Okay, and I guess that this helps quite a lot. There's in Martin Seligman thought really that there's the ability to learn how to be optimistic, but optimistic meaning being realistic, accepting that we have a kind of mentality of hope, okay,
Mm.
and of looking at possibilities and saying, okay, um, what are the options? It's optimism to find what are the options that we can take in front of adversities, I would say. So it's, there are times where, we said, well, emotional intelligence is about bringing so rationality together with emotionality together. Okay. So if we do that, there are times where we need to give more weight to rationality and logic. But
Mhm.
there are also times where we need to listen more to other levels, and that can be also the messages that we receive through our emotions.
Okay.
It's,
So,
Mhm.
so I believe that it's integration of different aspects, not only, the awareness of emotions, and how to
Mhm.
integrate it and become a habit. I believe it's a long journey, it's for instance, if we were talking about football or basketball or something,
Mhm.
how to maybe run with a ball or something,
Mhm.
kick a ball or something. You don't just kick balls and in the field. You start to know how to shoot, how to, tackle, how to maneuver, and you
Yeah.
integrate all of these together in one place. So,
Mhm.
and it's a journey, until you reach a place where you get. So can you tell us more about, the different, the domains and aspects, and the competences of emotional intelligence,
Sure.
that
Sure.
what to expect in such a journey, when we work on emotional intelligence? Yeah.
But let's say, the journey can be long or short, but what I can tell you, and I feel really that I can reassure you on this, it cannot, it's not always such a long journey. Okay. Sometimes, for instance, if you become more self-aware, okay, which is one of these aspects of the macro chapter of emotional intelligence, suddenly, so you understand the impact of your own behaviors. If you understand the impact of your own behaviors, probably you will self-manage yourself better. You will also understand what is behind that kind of behavior. So potentially you will also understand what drives you, what kind of intrinsic motivation you have. So what kind of directions you're taking. It will also help you to understand better, I would say, the how to link with others. Okay, how to influence others. So touch your relationship management. So very often when we work in coaching, also without emotional intelligence, actually, what we do is that we raise self-awareness, and we want people to understand better the learnings, okay, or the learning they get out of the new experience they're doing. Okay, the point is try new behaviors. Be open to feel how you feel. Okay, what goes on, and what do you observe being different in you and the others.
Okay.
Okay, so just to say, so at the very end, the macro areas that we touch often are related to self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management.
Yeah.
And social awareness and relationship management has a huge impact on the way you manage people. So on the way you create performance, because that was your question at the beginning now. So how do we relate all of this together? So the point here that there are no good or bad emotions. They just bring messages. It's up to you to use them as data. Okay.
No good or bad emotions.
There are no good or bad emotions. They are just messages, just informations. Okay. And those messages and informations are there for us. If we want to use them, probably we'll make different kind of decisions. Okay. And maybe we will anticipate also people reaction around us. So maybe we'll get our teams more engaged as well. Or maybe we'll get people feeling that, okay, they feel secure enough, that they can talk about the issues they see coming up.
Yeah.
So the action plan, will be smoother. Okay, the rollout of the action plan will be smoother for people, and all of this, so will make a difference in terms of business then.
Yeah.
Or at least it is what I observe.
Yes, that's very true, Christina. And I believe actually the maturity of leaders and how they really create an impact and is when they really get to understand that it's okay to be
Yeah,
who you are, and actually to be sometimes in pain, and actually
yeah,
acknowledge this
yeah,
kind of emotions that you resisted and you actually escaped for
yeah,
a lot of time. So actually, yani, it has been the 30 minutes just flew like this.
yeah,
So before actually concluding, I would love actually these are the contacts of Christine. And actually, if you want more information about coaching and emotional intelligence, you can actually connect with her over the email, Christine Gallaire at stratia.it or .italy,
yeah, yeah,
and on the and on LinkedIn on her profile, it's listed in the banner here.
yeah.
So I would like actually you to talk more about your services and how you work with your clients, Christine, for maybe a minute or something. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's say that the way I work with my clients usually, well, I work on one-to-one executive coaching most of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
I work on team coaching. I also use assessments that help to bring more self-awareness. I also work a lot remotely, I would say, and especially at those times, with teams and people really live like we're doing using Zoom, engaging on topics that also bring emotional intelligence. And I would say that, well, if you just want to taste this, a little bit. There's also another thing that I do. I do some volunteering for a company called 6 Seconds. 6 Seconds is specialized on emotional intelligence. And so we run from time to time some EQ cafes. So if people want to, if you guys listening to our talk want to know more about those EQ cafes, please link with me on LinkedIn. Okay, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be very glad to invite you to the next coming events. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Sharaf. That's been really very good conversation, very stimulating as well for me. So you brought a lot of very valid points. And I guess that, points that are shared by so many people. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Christine. And it was an amazing, actually, journey with you today. And next episode we will have is going to be next month.
Yeah.
And yeah, so wait for us on the next month with the second episode of the emotional intelligence. And thank you, Christine. And really,
Welcome.
for everyone, have a great day. And thank you for listening to us until now. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye to all. Thanks for
Bye
listening.
bye. Bye bye. Yeah.